In the journey of life, we all fall. We lose, we stumble. But what defines us is not how many times we fall, it is how many times we choose to rise again. Starting over is not a sign of weakness, it is a sacred opportunity to begin again, but this time more wisely. Lord Krishna reminds us in the Bhagavad Gita, every act of creation is first an act of destruction. When something falls apart, perhaps it's the universe's way of rebuilding you, stronger, better, wiser. So let us explore together the power, the divinity, and the glory in starting over, because the best revenge is success. There's a common belief that starting over means you failed. But what if I told you that starting over actually means you've matured, that you've grown beyond what no longer serves you? Life is not a straight line, it's a winding path of lessons and blessings. When we start over, we don't go back to zero, we go back wiser. And sometimes when we break, it's only because He is about to remake us into something more beautiful, more useful. I once met a man who lost his job, his savings, and even his home. But he told me that loss became my liberation. He began again, this time as a school teacher in a small village. Today he runs an NGO for underprivileged children. He didn't rebuild the same life, he built a better one. Starting over doesn't always mean changing direction. And sometimes when we break, it's only because He is about to remake us into something more beautiful, more useful. I once met a man who lost his job, his savings, and even his home. But he told me that loss became my liberation. He began again, this time as a school teacher in a small village. Today he runs an NGO for underprivileged children. He didn't rebuild the same life, he built a better one. Starting over doesn't always mean changing direction. Sometimes it simply means changing our perspective. A seed buried in the soil could think it's been buried in darkness, or it could recognize it's been planted. From that space, it can grow. Lord Ram went to exile for 14 years. He didn't resist it, he embraced it. And that phase became one of transformation and preparation. When he returned, he was not just a prince, he was a leader, a symbol of righteousness. His restart was his rise. Many people think success is a straight path. But have you ever seen an ECG line? A flat line means death. Life and success has its ups and downs. Every down is preparing you for the next up. Don't fear the fall, embrace the rise. There was a young woman I met who failed twice in her business. Everyone mocked her, her relatives whispered, "She's wasting her life." But she started again. She changed her strategy. Today she runs a sustainable fashion brand that employs 300 women. Her silence became her strength. Her success became her story. Sometimes we fear starting over because we think we're too old or it's too late. But let me ask you, when is the right time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. It's never too late to begin again. Take inspiration from Valmiki. He was once a bandit, but he chose to start over. He surrendered his past and embraced a new path. That very man wrote the Ramayana. Your past does not define your future. Your choices do. She thought her life was over, but she chose to travel, explore spirituality, and write. Today she's an author and motivational speaker, helping thousands of women rebuild their lives. Her heartbreak became her voice. In Hindu philosophy, we believe in the concept of rebirth, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally too. Each dawn is a new life, each breath, a new chance, each choice, a new karma. You can start over at any moment. The moment you choose to. Think of the phoenix. In mythology, it burns itself to ashes only to rise again more glorious. You too can rise from the ashes of failure, betrayal, or loss. Your glory is not in never burning, but in always rising. One of the most powerful stories of starting over is that of Sudama, the childhood friend of Krishna. He approached Krishna not as a beggar but with humility and love. What he received was not just help, but dignity, respect, and restoration. He started again with divine grace. Dot. Often, we hold on to bitterness from the past. But my friend, how can you build a temple on the ruins of resentment? First, clear the rubble, forgive, let go, then lay down the foundation of hope. If you plant a mango seed, you cannot expect fruits the next day. Likewise, when you start over, be patient, nurture your dreams, water them with action, give them sunlight with belief, and one day they will bloom. A boy I met in Mumbai failed three engineering exams. He was mocked, ridiculed, but he had a passion for art. He picked up a brush and began to paint. Today his art is exhibited internationally. He didn't fail. He just took a detour to find his true destination. Life is like a chariot pulled by horses, your senses. Sometimes they drag you in the wrong direction. But when the charioteer, your wisdom, takes control again, you can turn that chariot around and start your journey again. Lord Shiva wears a garland of skulls, symbols of destruction. But from destruction comes creation. The old must die for the new to be born. So don't fear the end. Sometimes it's just the beginning in disguise. There's a divine strength in silence. When you begin again quietly, without the need to explain yourself to anyone, your actions become your voice. Your success becomes your volume. Let them hear it. A woman came to our temple once. She had lost her husband, her home, her will. We told her, don't try to rebuild the same life, create a new one. She started working with women artisans. Today she supports over 500 families. She turned pain into power. The best revenge is not anger, nor is it explanation. It is elevation. Let your life rise so beautifully that even those who doubted you are forced to applaud you silently. In the Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidas writes, by Pragat Kripala Deen Dayala, even God chooses the moment of emergence after darkness. Your divine emergence will come through when you surrender to the process and not the pressure. Do not fear losing people when you start over. Sometimes pruning is necessary for growth. The right people will walk with you in your new path. The wrong ones are simply detours you no longer need. Your past may be a chapter, but don't make it your story. The pen is still in your hand. Write again. Write better. Make your life a scripture others want to read. When you start over with purpose, not pride, you become unstoppable. No storm, no criticism, no regret can derail a person anchored in purpose. Let your purpose be your compass. And finally, remember this, your comeback will always be stronger than your setback. If your comeback is fueled by purpose, peace, and perseverance, start over again and again until your name becomes synonymous with strength. Starting over is not about erasing the past, it's about rewriting your future. Like the lotus that blooms in muddy water, your greatest growth can emerge from your darkest times. Choose not to cry over what you lost. Smile for what you're about to gain. Begin again. Not to prove others wrong, but to prove to yourself what's right. Because the best revenge is not in shouting your pain, but in living your success